Shyness and fear often feel like invisible chains holding people back from expressing themselves fully. Many individuals struggle with the discomfort of speaking up, meeting new people, or stepping into unfamiliar situations. However, to truly overcome these feelings, it is crucial to first understand where they come from. Fear and shyness are not random emotions. They are deeply rooted in past experiences, self-perception, and societal influences. The first step toward transformation is awareness, recognizing that these feelings are not permanent and can be changed with conscious effort. One of the primary reasons people feel shy or fearful is the fear of judgment. The mind becomes overly focused on what others might think, creating a false belief that every action is being scrutinized. This kind of thinking often stems from childhood experiences where being criticized, laughed at, or ignored left a lasting impact. Over time, these small moments add up, reinforcing the idea that staying silent or avoiding social situations is safer. But the truth is, people are far less focused on us than we imagine. Most are too occupied with their own thoughts and worries to analyze every move we make. Realizing this alone can begin to reduce the weight of shyness and fear. Another significant factor contributing to these feelings is negative self-perception. Many individuals carry an internal dialogue filled with self-doubt, constantly questioning their abilities and worth. Thoughts like, "I'm not interesting enough," "I'll embarrass myself," or "I'm not good" conversations create a self-fulfilling cycle where avoidance only reinforces the fear. The mind starts believing these thoughts as absolute truth, making it even harder to break free. However, by recognizing that these thoughts are just mental habits rather than facts, a shift begins to happen. A simple yet powerful practice is replacing these negative thoughts with empowering ones. Instead of saying, "I'm too shy to talk to people," shifting to "I am learning to be more confident every day" creates a new mental pathway that encourages action rather than avoidance. Past experiences also play a major role in shaping social fears. Next is a single embarrassing moment, rejection, or failure in childhood or adulthood can lead to avoidance behavior. The brain, designed to protect from emotional harm, tries to prevent similar situations from occurring. This is why many people hesitate to speak in public, approach new people, or share their opinions. However, what is often forgotten is that everyone experiences awkward moments or failures. The difference between those who remain stuck in fear and those who overcome it is how they process these experiences. Viewing past situations as lessons rather than proof of failure allows personal growth instead of retreating further into shyness. Another reason people struggle with shyness is a lack of social practice. Just like any skill, confidence in social situations requires regular exposure. If someone spends most of their time avoiding interactions, the fear remains unchallenged, making even simple conversations feel overwhelming. This is why it is important to deliberately put oneself in situations that encourage interaction. Gradual approach works best. Starting small, such as making eye contact, offering a smile, or asking a simple question. The more frequently these actions are practiced, the more natural they become, reducing the sense of fear over time. Social conditioning also has a strong influence on shyness. Some individuals grow up in environments where they are taught to be quiet, avoid confrontation, or not express too many opinions. While these teachings may have been meant to instill politeness, they can also lead to a lack of confidence in speaking up. Breaking free from this requires a shift in belief, understanding that speaking one's mind, expressing emotions, and engaging with others are not negative traits, but essential parts of life. Developing the courage to do so starts with small steps and daily reminders that one's voice is just as valuable as anyone else's. Understanding the root causes of fear and shyness is the first and most crucial step toward change. Without this awareness, overcoming these feelings can feel like a battle without direction. However, once the realization sets in that fear is simply a learned response and not an unchangeable trait, the process of transformation can begin. By identifying personal triggers, shifting negative self-talk, and actively stepping into social situations, it becomes possible to break free from these limitations and embrace a more confident version of oneself. One of the most effective ways to overcome shyness and fear is to step outside of your comfort zone and take small, consistent actions that challenge your limiting beliefs. Many people wait for confidence to magically appear before they take action. But the truth is that confidence is built through action, not the other way around. The key is to start small and gradually push yourself towards situations that make you uncomfortable. Fear and shyness thrive in avoidance. Good avoidance. The more you avoid situations that make you anxious, the stronger your fear becomes. This is because avoidance sends a signal to your brain that the situation is dangerous when, in reality, it is not. By continually staying in your comfort zone, you reinforce the belief that you are incapable of handling certain situations. This cycle needs to be broken, and the best way to do that is through gradual exposure. Taking small steps outside of your comfort zone allows you to prove to yourself that you are more capable than you think. For instance, if speaking to strangers makes you nervous, you don't have to start with long conversations. You can begin with something as simple as making eye contact and offering a small smile. Once you get comfortable with that, move on to saying a quick hello to people you pass by. Over time, these small interactions will feel natural, and the fear associated with social situations will begin to fade. The same principle applies to public speaking. If the idea of speaking in front of a large audience is intimidating, start by practicing in front of a mirror or recording yourself. Then, move on to speaking in front of a close friend or a small group. With each step, your confidence will grow, and what once seemed impossible will become much easier. Another important factor in overcoming shyness is to reframe how you view mistakes and setbacks. Many people avoid taking action because they fear embarrassment or failure. However, failure is not something to be feared. It is a natural part of learning and growth. Every successful person has experienced failures along the way, but what sets them apart is their ability to learn from those experiences instead of letting them define them. Instead of seeing a mistake as a sign of incompetence, view it as a learning opportunity. When you adopt this mindset, you remove the pressure of being perfect and allow yourself to grow through experience. Additionally, it is crucial to understand that fear is often exaggerated in our minds. The scenarios we imagine are usually far worse than reality. For example, if you are afraid of approaching someone new, your mind might create a story where they react negatively, judge you, or reject you. However, in most cases, people are much kinder and more receptive than we anticipate. Even if someone does not respond the way you hoped, it is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a result of their own state of mind. The more you expose yourself to these situations, the more you will realize that the worst-case scenarios you feared rarely happen. A practical exercise to help overcome fear is visualization. Before stepping into a situation that makes you nervous, take a moment to visualize yourself handling it with confidence. Imagine yourself speaking clearly, making eye contact, and feeling at ease. Visualization helps program your mind for success and reduces the anxiety associated with unfamiliar situations. Studies have shown that the brain does not distinguish between real experiences and vividly imagined ones, meaning that by repeatedly visualizing success, you can train your mind to expect positive outcomes. Another technique that can be highly effective is controlled breathing. When fear takes over, it triggers a physical response in the body. Your heart rate increases, your palms sweat, and your muscles tense up. This is your body's fight or flight response. However, you can counteract this by practicing slow, deep breathing. Taking a few deep breaths before stepping into an anxiety-inducing situation can help calm your nervous system and bring a sense of control over your emotions. It is also helpful to shift your focus away from yourself and toward the situation or the person you are interacting with. Many people who struggle with shyness are overly self-conscious, constantly analyzing how they appear to others. This inward focus can increase anxiety and make social interactions feel overwhelming. Instead, try shifting your attention outward. If you are having a conversation, focus on genuinely listening to the other person instead of worrying about what you will say next. If you are speaking in public, focus on delivering your message rather than worrying about how the audience perceives you. When you remove the pressure from yourself, interactions become much easier and more natural. Taking action despite fear is the most powerful way to break free from shyness. The more you challenge yourself, the more proof you will gather that you are capable and strong. Progress may not happen overnight, but every small step adds up. The key is to keep moving forwards, even when it feels uncomfortable. With consistent practice, what once felt intimidating will eventually become second nature, allowing you to step into a more confident version of yourself. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with shyness and fear is the deep-rooted fear of judgment. The fear of being criticized, laughed at, or rejected can feel overwhelming, making it difficult to express oneself freely. However, the truth is that most people are not as concerned with us as we think. In reality, people are often too busy with their own lives, worries, and insecurities to spend time analyzing our every move. The idea that everyone is watching and judging is largely an illusion created by our own minds. When we internalize this truth, it becomes easier to let go of the unnecessary pressure we put on ourselves. The reality is that no matter what you do in life, there will always be people who have opinions. Some will support you, while others may criticize. But allowing the fear of judgment to dictate your actions only limits your growth. The most successful and confident individuals have learned to accept that they cannot control what others think, so they focus instead on what they can control: their own mindset, actions, and self-belief. A helpful way to combat the fear of judgment is to develop self-awareness and recognize when these fears arise. Often, our minds create exaggerated scenarios that never actually happen. We assume the worst, believing that if we make a mistake, others will ridicule us. But think about the last time you saw someone stumble over their words or make a small mistake in public. Did you judge them harshly, or did you simply move on without much thought? Most likely, you didn't dwell on it, because mistakes are human and no one is perfect. When we shift our perspective, we realize that people are often more forgiving and understanding than we imagine. Another important realization is that the opinions of others do not define you. Many people go through life trying to fit into a mold created by society, family, or peers. But in doing so, they suppress their true selves. Seeking validation from others can become a never-ending cycle because no matter what you do, you will never be able to please everyone. Instead of focusing on external validation, focus on developing a strong internal foundation of self-worth. When you know your own value, the opinions of others lose their power over you. To break free from this fear, it helps to intentionally put yourself in situations where you might be judged. This may sound intimidating, but facing your fear head-on is one of the most effective ways to overcome it. Start small. Speak up in a group conversation, share your thoughts without overthinking, or try something new in public without worrying about what others think. Each time you challenge yourself, you gain confidence, and over time, the fear begins to lose its grip. One technique that can help is reminding yourself of past experiences where you worried about judgment, only to realize later that it wasn't as bad as you thought. Reflecting on these moments helps train your brain to recognize that fear is often an exaggeration rather than reality. It's also important to surround yourself with the right people, those who support and uplift you, rather than those who constantly criticize or belittle you. Being around positive, encouraging individuals can help build your confidence and reinforce the idea that you don't need to seek approval from everyone. Another powerful mindset shift is to focus on your purpose rather than your fears. When you are deeply focused on something meaningful, whether it's a goal, a passion, or a message you want to share, you naturally become less concerned with what others think. People who make an impact in the world do not waste time worrying about judgment. Instead, they channel their energy into their work and purpose. At the end of the day, life is too short to let fear hold you back. The opinions of others will come and go, but your experiences, growth, and happiness are what truly matter. The moment you stop fearing judgment is the moment you begin to live freely. Express yourself fully and step into your true potential. One of the most powerful ways to overcome shyness and fear is through repeated exposure to uncomfortable situations. Fear often thrives in avoidance. When we stay within our comfort zones, our minds reinforce the belief that stepping out into the unknown is dangerous or humiliating. However, the truth is that fear weakens every time we challenge it. The only way to break free from its grip is by deliberately pushing ourselves into situations that make us uncomfortable until they no longer feel threatening. At first, this process can seem daunting. The mere thought of speaking up in a group, introducing yourself to new people, or standing in front of an audience can trigger anxiety. But confidence isn't something we are born with. It's something we build through experience. Think about any skill you've mastered over time. Whether it's learning to ride a bike, play an instrument, or drive a car, the first attempts were likely filled with hesitation and mistakes. But as you kept practicing, your movements became smoother, your confidence grew, and what once seemed impossible became second nature. Overcoming shyness and fear works the same way. A practical approach to this is gradual exposure. Instead of forcing yourself into a high-pressure situation right away, start with small, manageable steps. If speaking in front of a crowd terrifies you, begin by talking more in one-on-one conversations. If approaching new people makes you nervous, start by making casual small talk with someone in a low-stakes environment, such as a cashier or a coworker. Each successful attempt will reinforce the belief that you are capable, and over time, your brain will stop associating these situations with fear. A key element of overcoming fear is understanding that discomfort is temporary. Many people avoid stepping out of their comfort zones because they dread the feeling of nervousness or awkwardness. But emotions, like waves, rise and fall, they do not last forever. The more you expose yourself to a feared situation, the shorter and weaker the anxiety response becomes. Eventually, what once triggered overwhelming fear will start to feel normal, even effortless. Another important aspect is learning to detach from the outcome. Fear often stems from the desire to control how situations unfold. We want everything to go perfectly, without any mistakes or awkward moments. Sure, awkward moments. But perfection is an illusion. even the most confident and charismatic individuals have moments of uncertainty. Yet they don't let those moments define them. Rather than focusing on perfection, focus on progress. The goal is not to be flawless, but to be fearless in your pursuit of growth. Reframing your mindset can also be a powerful tool. Instead of seeing fear as a barrier, see it as a sign of growth. Fear indicates that you are stepping into new territory, stretching beyond what is familiar. Every time you feel fear, remind yourself that it is an opportunity to become stronger. Instead of saying, "I'm nervous about this," try saying, "I'm excited for this challenge." Small shifts in language can have a profound impact on how we experience fear. It's also helpful to visualize success. Before facing a situation that triggers fear, take a moment to picture yourself handling it with confidence. Imagine yourself speaking clearly, standing tall, and engaging with ease. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between real and imagined experiences. So, by visualizing positive outcomes, you train yourself to approach challenges with a success-oriented mindset rather than one driven by fear. One of the most liberating realizations is that nobody is perfect. The people we admire for their confidence and charisma did not start that way. They built themselves through repeated practice and countless small failures. Every time you see someone speaking effortlessly or carrying themselves with confidence, remember that they once stood where you are now. But the difference is that they chose to face their fears rather than hide from them. Ultimately, overcoming shyness and fear is about action. No amount of thinking, analyzing, or planning will remove fear completely. The only way to dissolve fear is to walk through it again and again until it loses its power over you. The journey may not be easy, but the reward is immense. The ability to live life without limitations, to express yourself freely, and to step into every opportunity without hesitation. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with shyness and fear is that they allow their self-doubt to dictate their actions. They believe that they are not good enough, not confident enough, or not capable enough to handle situations that make them uncomfortable. However, the truth is that fear is nothing more than a mental barrier, a conditioned response that we can unlearn with the right mindset and consistent action. To truly break free from fear, one must build unshakable self-belief, an inner confidence that does not depend on external validation or circumstances. The foundation of self-belief lies in self-awareness. Many people underestimate their abilities simply because they have never taken the time to recognize their strengths. They focus too much on their weaknesses, their past failures, or the opinions of others, which clouds their perception of themselves. But when you start identifying what you are good at, what makes you unique, and what value you bring to the world, your mindset shifts. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who is limited by fear, you begin to see yourself as someone who is capable of growth and improvement. A powerful way to strengthen self-belief is through positive self-talk. Our internal dialogue has a tremendous impact on our confidence levels. If you constantly tell yourself, "You can't do this," and "Let's mess up," or "people will judge me," your brain will accept these statements as truth. But if you replace them with empowering thoughts like, "I am improving every day," "I am capable of handling challenges," and "I deserve to be heard," you gradually rewire your mindset to support your confidence rather than undermine it. Another essential aspect of building self-belief is taking action despite fear. Many people wait until they feel confident before stepping into situations that scare them. But that's not how confidence works. Confidence is built through action. The more you push yourself to do things that intimidate you, the more you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your fears. Even if things don't go perfectly, you will have gained valuable experience, and each step forward will make the next one easier. Small daily challenges are an excellent way to train your mind to become more resilient. If speaking up in meetings makes you nervous, start by making one comment or asking one question each time. If social situations feel overwhelming, set a goal to start a short conversation with a stranger once a day. These small actions may not seem significant in the moment, but over time, they accumulate into powerful changes in your confidence and self-image. One of the most liberating realizations is that no one is paying as much attention to your insecurities as you think. People are generally too focused on their own lives, their own worries, and their own fears to analyze every small thing you do. The fear of judgment is often exaggerated in our minds, but in reality, most people are not nearly as critical as we assume. Realizing this can help take away the pressure and allow you to be more authentic and expressive without overthinking every action. Surrounding yourself with positive and supportive people is also crucial for strengthening self-belief. The company you keep influences your mindset more than you might realize. If you are constantly around people who doubt you, criticize you, or reinforce your fears, it will be much harder to build confidence. But if you surround yourself with those who uplift you, encourage you, and push you toward growth, their belief in you will reflect in your own self-perception. Seek out mentors, friends, or even books and content that inspire confidence and personal growth. Visualization is another powerful tool in reinforcing self-belief. Before facing a situation that makes you nervous, take a few moments to close your eyes and imagine yourself handling it with confidence. Picture yourself walking into the room with a strong posture, speaking clearly, and feeling at ease. The mind responds strongly to mental imagery, and when you repeatedly visualize success, your brain starts to accept it as reality, making it easier to step into the real situation with a positive mindset. It's also important to celebrate small wins. Many people dismiss their progress because they focus only on big achievements, but confidence is built in small moments. Every time you push past a fear, no matter how minor it seems, acknowledge it. Every small victory adds up, and the more you recognize your growth, the more motivated you will be to keep pushing forward. Ultimately, self-belief is a muscle that must be exercised consistently. The more you reinforce positive thoughts, take small, courageous actions, and surround yourself with the right influences, the stronger it becomes. Once you develop a deep, unwavering belief in yourself, fear loses its power over you, and you gain the freedom to express yourself fully and fearlessly in every aspect of life. Fear and shyness are often the result of how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. We assume that we are being judged, that we are not good enough, or that we will fail in situations that require confidence. However, the truth is that these fears are largely created by our own minds. The moment we take control of our thoughts and shift our mindset, we can begin to break free from these limitations and step into a version of ourselves that is fearless, bold, and unstoppable. Overcoming fear is not about eliminating it entirely. It's about learning to move forward despite it. The key lies in reprogramming the way we think, react, and respond to situations that make us uncomfortable. The first step in overcoming fear and shyness is to stop overthinking. Most people who struggle with confidence tend to analyze every situation in excessive detail, imagining all the possible ways things could go wrong. They focus on what others might think, how they might be perceived, or whether they will make a mistake. This overanalysis creates unnecessary anxiety and prevents them from taking action. Instead of getting caught up in these negative thoughts, it's important to shift focus toward the present moment. When you stop overanalyzing and simply act, fear loses its grip on you. The more you practice being present and taking action without hesitation, the easier it becomes to let go of the fear that holds you back. Another powerful technique for overcoming shyness and fear is to desensitize yourself to situations that make you uncomfortable. This means gradually exposing yourself to the things that scare you until they no longer have the same effect. If speaking to strangers makes you anxious, start by making small interactions in everyday situations. Greeting the cashier, complimenting a colleague, or engaging in brief conversations. If public speaking terrifies you, start by speaking up in smaller group settings. Each time you face a fear, it becomes weaker, and your confidence grows stronger. Repetition is key. The more often you step out of your comfort zone, the more natural it becomes. One of the biggest obstacles people face when trying to overcome shyness is their attachment to perfectionism. Many people are afraid of making mistakes or looking foolish, so they avoid taking risks. However, the reality is that no one is perfect, and everyone makes mistakes. The most successful and confident people are not those who never fail, but those who have learned to embrace failure as a natural part of growth. When you stop fearing mistakes and instead see them as learning experiences, your confidence will soar. The fear of judgment fades away because you no longer base your self-worth on external validation. Developing a strong, confident body language is another essential part of overcoming fear. Your posture, eye contact, and gestures communicate more than words ever could. When you stand tall, maintain eye contact, and speak with a steady voice, you naturally feel more confident. Even if you don't feel fully confident at first, adopting strong body language tricks your brain into believing that you are. Over time, this habit reinforces a sense of self-assurance that becomes second nature. Self-affirmation is another powerful tool in transforming your mindset. The way you talk to yourself shapes your reality. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm too shy," or "I'm not good enough," or "I'll embarrass myself," your mind will believe it. But if you replace these thoughts with affirmations like, "I am capable," "I'm confident," and "I have nothing to fear," your brain will gradually shift its perspective. The words you repeatedly tell yourself become the foundation of your self-image, so choose them wisely. Surrounding yourself with positive, encouraging people is also crucial in this journey. If you spend time with individuals who constantly doubt you, criticize you, or reinforce your fears, breaking free from shyness will be much harder. However, if you surround yourself with those who inspire you, push you forward, and believe in your potential, their energy will influence your own mindset. Seek out mentors, role models, or friends who embody the confidence you aspire to have. Their presence will serve as a reminder that growth is possible and that you are capable of achieving it. Lastly, one of the most liberating realizations you can have is that fear and shyness are not permanent traits. They are habits, patterns of thinking and behaving that you have the power to change. By consistently challenging your fears, taking action, and shifting your perspective, you can rewire your brain to respond differently. With time and practice, you will no longer see yourself as someone who is controlled by fear. Instead, you will see yourself as someone who embraces challenges, steps into opportunities with confidence, and lives life without limitations.